confused. I'm like, should we have talked about it? Should we not? I don't know what's going on.
I hear you. But the bike is out now. The bike's a great topic of conversation.
I want to talk about the bike. Can we talk about the bike right now?
We can talk about the bike, and I'd love to talk about the bike because prior to me having the bike, I wasn't very excited about the bike, and I shall tell you why.
Please.
Right? But what are your thoughts, first of all, on e-bikes, on normal bikes, on this halfway house, the SL? What are your views on it?
Personal views on it, as I think, okay, we could rewind it all the way back to when e-bikes first started presenting themselves into the marketplace, and I wasn't into it, dude. I felt like it wasn't mountain biking for me. It's not what I saw mountain biking as at that point, but we're going all the way back, probably 6 or 7 years ago when I first started seeing them. And then over time, more people got into it. They got a little bit lighter. They got a little bit more like a normal mountain bike rather than just this sort of bike with a massive battery bolted onto it. Then, as you know, I got on the hype myself about 2 years ago. Got my first e-bike. Absolutely fell in love with it. And I think a lot of people have done the same as me. Have probably written it off for so long and then gone, actually, okay, my mate's now got one. And he's raving about it. He's out. He's doing more miles than he's ever done. He's climbing stuff he'd never consider climbing, etc. So that's where I am at the moment. I've just, at the weekend, we can talk about it. I did a pretty big ride, actually, for me on the regular bike. And all I was thinking about was, I wish I had my e-bike because this would be a little bit more fun. My legs weren't enjoying 99% of that ride. So yeah, I think you can see how the future is starting to turn out with these things. They're getting lighter. The batteries are getting more, obviously lighter, a little bit more distance in them as well, even though they're getting more compact. And I'd say I'm fully on the train now, to be honest with you. I'm fully on the e-bike train. I appreciate a lot of people probably look at it and go, I can't have both. You're going to go, I can't really afford to have a regular analog bike or whatever you call them now and an e-bike. So I think where we're getting to now is this perfect middle ground, which to me is the future of it, which is these light bikes that are also e-bikes that maybe you have the option to ride it with the battery on or the battery off.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest rant I've ever done about e-bikes, fully out of my head, not really thinking about what was coming out. So yeah, there you go. That's my thoughts on e-bikes. Really well. Thanks. So
my thoughts were, my current e-bike, let's say it's a Bosch or a Shimano, it puts out 80, is it Newton meters of torque? It's 80 newtons. So the power is 80. Just consider it that. So the power is 80. And then the prior SLs, the power was actually 35, something around those lines.
Okay.
So if you ever had a go on one, any SL I've had a go on before was, really considerably less power, and yes, less weight, but
less distance as well.
Yeah, less battery life. I mean, basically, everything I'd had a go on was sort of underwhelming. And if in all honesty, before I got on the JAM² SL, I thought it was a bike that was going to be released into this market, and it was going to be, maybe it's perfect for some people. They have a one bike garage, or they still want to maintain a certain amount of fitness, blah, blah, blah. Maybe for you it's good, but for me, I liked the power of, and I still do really like the power of an e-bike, and it's its own thing. It's heavy, it's whatever. I really enjoy it. I don't find it an issue. And then I got this SL, and I was sort of reluctant. It's a Fazua motor. It's not 35 though. Let me tell you, it's not 35. It's not 45. It's not 55. It's 60.
Really?
So if you've got your Bosch's 80, 85, and you've got your previous SL, which is 35, this thing's 60, and it weighs it's scary. It weighs nearly the same as my normal bike. So then you get to this point, it's really difficult, because it's like, it is an e-bike and it is giving you a load of power, but it's also, you also do have the kind of, I have a lot of fun on it.
Yeah. I think I've got a friend who I ride with quite a bit, Joey, and Joe's got a Lapierre. It's an SL, I guess you'd call it, similar sort of thing. So he can
Shimano one.
It's the Fazua one, I believe. I'm not sure.
Okay, cool.
I think it's I think it is. But anyway, it's cool because with that bike, he can come out with me on any ride. So it's like, oh, I'm on the regular bike. He's like, yeah, cool. And he doesn't disappear like I feel like you would on a regular e-bike. You almost like can't help yourself. You go in eco or trail or whatever, and you get to a climb and you are naturally just going to disappear, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like he's more like on par with me on a regular bike. And then the same with the e-bike. We got on the e-bike, but he can keep up with me on that bike. It's kind of like this happy middle ground of where biking's come to at the moment. So
it's weird, isn't it? This is really heavy bike chat for us. Normally we're.
But I feel like this would be the bike for you. Is it? Like you said that when we originally spoke about it, you were like, dude, this is the bike for you. And I was like, nah, I feel like it's more your thing. I don't know why. I just thought it was like,
man. Whatever it is, it's interesting, and it just makes you think like all of these things.
What does it ride more like? Does it ride more like a regular bike without a battery, or does it ride more like a bike with a battery?
So it rides like a regular bike, but it's a regular bike with the majority of its weight down really low. So you still have the sort of like e-bike, like that e-bike stability and traction and all of that. Like, dude, I don't want to, to me it was just a big surprise, and I've absolutely loved it. I don't want to rant on about it too much because I realise it sort of starts to get like an advert, and it's kind of, that it turns into my job, and this podcast isn't about that necessarily. But like, it is something that's, I think about these things all the time. I think about, as a rider that promotes like bikes and parts and stuff like that, I think about what I would buy and where it's going and all of that. Believe it or not, I do actually think about it all the time. And this is a spanner in the works for me, because this is, I can go out with my friends on their e-bikes and keep up. Really, it's normal. It has a 480 watt hour battery, I think. It's so it lasts the same as like a standard 500 battery,
Yeah.
I don't know,
which
crazy.
is like, so that's almost as similar as, so I had the Jam² before, the older one, like 20.
Same as that.
Same as that, isn't it? But without that weight, really.
So it's got that range.
Yeah.
Again, this is why I think about it, because I'm a complete sport brat, and I'm aware of it. I really am. I don't have to choose, because it's my job to ride all of them and enjoy all of them. But it's obviously this SL is a high-end bike. It's full carbon, and it's super lightweight, really high spec build, all of that. So it's going to be expensive. So that's going to cut a lot out. But I really don't know. Only time will tell, dude. And it's a great question, because we've got the UK winter is upon us. And I tell you what, if there's ever a time where I feel hyped to ride my e-bike, or where it's hard
it's
to
been in Spain.
My normal bike down, it is e-bikes, So unless I'm in Spain,
I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, Joe Bowman, and we were talking years ago, probably going back 5 years maybe, about the future of biking. It probably even is on a podcast, future of mountain bikes. And he said that exact thing. He was like, e-bikes will get to a point where the battery is either on or off, and it's just there and you don't even know it's there. Like, everything gets smaller, lighter, more compact, and there will probably be a point in the future where you don't even have to think, am I having an e-bike or an analog bike? I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know where I sit morally on that. But what if every bike was an e-bike and the battery was just there just for when you needed it? You're like, oh, I'm pretty tired. Okay, I'll turn the battery on and blast home.
Honestly, it's exactly what...
Is that the future?
Yeah, it's exactly what I was almost going to get to talking about it. Because it's like one of those things that you're reluctant to accept. Cashless society, or like... mobile phones, or social media passport, for instance. All of these things that you're like worried almost about. It just feels wrong, doesn't it?
You can almost envision being an older gentleman and saying, "Oh, when I was a lad, you had to pedal a bike." You can almost see it happening, right? Like, you didn't have a battery with you all the time. You didn't have a battery that recharged itself as you were riding. Like that. Surely that's got to be where all this goes.
By the way, as well, I don't want, there's never going to be a point where I don't ride a normal bike, I don't think.
There is if they don't exist, though. That's the problem.
Right? Yeah, that's true. But I'm raising the question more than anything. When I talk about it, I'm not saying like this is the end of normal bikes. I just mean it's an interesting question, and it definitely, I've found it more. It's made the like, what bike would I get question more difficult, you know.
Yeah, that 3-bike garage gets tough.
It's very difficult.
So
Very
how do you, yeah, true. How do you even class an SL? How do you put that in a 3? Do you say it's an e-bike or is it
It is
not?
an
I don't
e-bike,
know.
yeah.
It's an e-bike.
But then if it's an e-bike where I can take the battery out and it's a normal bike, maybe then I get 2 bikes to my one. Then maybe I've got my jump bike, my e-bike / normal bike, and then I've got room for a whole nother bike.
Yeah, maybe,
Which might
mate,
be a
maybe.
recumbent tandem. Who
It
knows?
could be. It could be. Might be a road bike.
An articulated recumbent tandem.
Did you enjoy this clip? If so, please like and subscribe. The full episode is available by hitting one of the links on the screen right now, or type the Ride Companion into your favourite podcast app. We've even put links in the show description for you. Cheers!